right, so this is Ernie, and this is Ernie's roadmap to success. So basically, I think the Ernie's major issue here is that he thinks that his job is to be in charge of his mother. And so he thinks that anybody that that approaches might be somebody that might be a threat to her or might take advantage of her. Now, unlike most of my clients, Ernie's guardian actually has some rules for him. But I went over some additional rules to start to help him identify to be more of a follower. One of the rules we're breaking right now: no furniture. For dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or status they have. So the more that we let them sit at the same height as us, that's one of our ways of saying we're equals. And if they're equals, they see themselves as your equal, then listening to you is optional. Also, a lack of rules can give this dog, a dog this perception. So we had some rules in place. I kind of added to them. No furniture for at least 30 days or until the problem is abated. Not being allowed to be within 7 feet of the human, maybe on the carpet when the human is eating food. Not being allowed in the kitchen when the human is preparing food. Having to stay away from the area around the door when guests arrive. For the guests, what I would recommend you do is get some painter's tape. And again, go to maybe where in between these two windows, do a line here and go to the edge of where the stand is for the TV and create a box. So if people come to the door, the first thing you're going to do is we're going to teach him not to react to people to knocks at the door. We did that through counter conditioning. Now, we did it while we were inside and it wasn't as realistic, so I would probably have a neighbor or a friend who can come by and knock on the door, but make sure that you're talking to them on the phone so we can communicate to them, hey, don't knock until I say a color or a city name or whatever it is. And as soon as they do that, they're going to knock like one knock at first, and then you're delivering the treat. Make sure you're delivering the treat before the knock happens, and before the treat goes away, the knocking stops. And we want to control the intensity. So at first, we might have somebody come and knock like, just really light like that. I know. Before, he wasn't knocking when we were doing that. So the idea is we want to make it such a low intensity that he doesn't feel the need to react to it, and then we're gradually going to ramp up the intensity. We can change the intensity by doing a couple things. We can move him further away from it, or we can have the person knock fewer times or in a lighter way. And so by doing these things, we're going to put him in a position where, come on, buddy, you can hang out for a little bit. Yes, I know. So we can get him to the position where it's progressively more and more intense, and so he's getting a treat delivered, so we're replacing the sound of the knock, meaning that I need to go on alert and control or protect, to now just when the knock comes, that means I'm gonna get a high value treat. And it'd be best if we can have somebody come by, like a neighbor who knocks without actually the end result of coming in. Right now, if somebody knocks on the door, that means the door is going to open and a package is coming in or a person's coming in, and I'm going to have to do my duty. So if we start associating with a knock without somebody coming in, we desensitize him from that. And we use the counter conditioning to create a positive association. Let me see. So put the tape down and make that square box and practice that. Once we get to the point where he's able to take the treat, and even though somebody's knocking, he's not stopping, then the next step would be to actually go through the process of answering the door. Now, I have a bunch of videos on doggoneproblems.com. If you click on dog training tips, and on the left side of the page, there'll be a search box, type in door exercise, and there'll be a number of videos that kind of go through this in detail. I'm not going to go through it because this is the roadmap to success. We want to go over the highlights in this video. For the leash, he gets excited at times when we're going for a walk. Sometimes he's like today, he was pretty relaxed. If he's pretty relaxed, you can go through the process like you normally do. However, if we get to the point where he gets excited, we want to go through step by step and help him practice each step along the way individually before we go to the next step. First step is just simply getting up and putting on our sandals. The guardian's identified that when she does that, that's when he starts to get worked up. So the idea for that is we want to practice doing that and then sit down and watch TV. Or read a script or whatever it is, so that he no longer associates, just because the sandals go on doesn't mean we're going for a walk. Then the next step would be walking towards where the leashes are, or grabbing the poop bags or your sunglasses, all the individual steps. But eventually we're going to get up and we're going to walk towards the leashes. For dogs, whoever's in front is considered to be in leadership position. So if I let him walk in front of me to the door and then I go through the door or attach the leash, well, then he's going to think he's in charge. So same thing if I answer the door and he's in front of me when I open the door, he's going to think I'm assisting him. So I want him to understand that the human has got this under control, and the more we demonstrate things for the dog, the more the dog sees the human has it under control, the less the dog feels that it needs to do it itself. You're doing very good, buddy. Let me see, what else? So for the leashing process, go through that over and over again until he never gets worked up when we're going for a walk. Don't narrate, don't say we're going for a walk. And at any step that he starts to get excited, stop. Go sit down, wait for him to calm down before you start continuing again. All right, now one of the things that he has a problem with is especially men, he's not super comfortable with men he doesn't know. And he's got to meet them. Now, I suggested to the guardian that she might want to look into doggy daycare, and she already has a dog walker, but we might do a different dog walker for a hike or something like that. For a lot of dogs like this, once they're away from their human, they consider themselves off duty and they can relax. I actually have had to take dogs into my home away from their guardian because when we're excited, we have cortisol or we're in a fearful situation. Cortisol gets dumped into our blood, and that gives us our sixth sense, the eyes in the back of our head. That's helpful and useful in some situations. But like soldiers who have that situation going on for too long, they can develop PTSD. And some dogs, being able to take them away from and give them an off-duty experience for a couple days to a week allows their system to clear that cortisol out of their blood, and that can help them come back to balance, and then we can start working with them. If your dog is constantly in that state of fear, it's really hard to break that until you get that cortisol out of their bloodstream. So we might want to look at some of those options. Now, I had a couple clients who had a dog that was a lot more aggressive than he is and would attack anybody that came near his guardians. What they did is what I'm going to describe now, and this is one of the things I didn't go over in the session, I just was saving it for here. So what they did is they had some high-value treats. I like using the Tricky Trainer chicken livers. He's not interested now because he wants to get down, but he showed a lot of interest in them. A stinky meat treat is what you're looking for. So what we would do is we're in Venice, so we have the boardwalk, we have different places where we're going to have a lot of people coming by. What my clients did is they went to a high-traffic area and they had one of their friends go with them. Their friend was standing several feet away from where the handler was with the dog. They asked people who came by who seemed to have more of a softer energy, but also have some attributes that the dog would react to. And they said, hey, could you help us out and toss a treat towards my dog? And one of them actually set up like two pieces of wood kind of like as a backdrop. So when they rolled the treat, it would be somewhere easy. We didn't have to go looking for it. And so basically the people walk by at about 12 feet away or whatever distance we need to be farther away so that he doesn't react. They just toss a treat and they keep on walking. They're not giving him a treat, they're not petting him, they're not interacting with him at all. They're just tossing the treat. Now, when I did the same technique when I was outside with him, or a similar technique where I had a line of treats leading towards me, he didn't want to take them at first. So if we use a treat that he's used to using in the house, it should make it easier for him to do that. The idea is we want him to start to associate. When people approach, treats literally fall from the sky, the best treats I've ever had. And then the people walk away and they don't touch me. They don't mess with my guardian. They don't even get within 10, 12 feet of us, whatever the distance is. So people are usually very happy to help. Hey, can you help us? We have a dog that we need to, that we're working with to make him feel better, or we're trying to help him create a positive association with people he doesn't know. Can you just toss a treat at him when you walk by? Sure. And somebody will say, no, that's fine. But dogs learn through repetition, consistency, and timing. If we have 50 people walk by in the course of a half an hour, that's a lot of repetition. And again, we're as far enough distance where he's not reacting. If he starts barking and reacting, he is too close to those people. So you want to move him away until we find whatever distance that he feels comfortable with. So if you go to where like the gym area is over here, there's those tennis courts, there's some little areas where you can be a little bit further away from the walking path where you can get those. Now something else you can do is the counter conditioning technique that we went over, where I smash the tree like this and I hold it up. He's not interested in taking it now, but usually they nibble on it. Well, what you could do is go to the 3rd Street Promenade or the Boulevard or wherever, the boardwalk or wherever it is, and as somebody's approaching, squeeze that treat and let him look at the person while he's chewing on the treat. Now the key for this is we want to do it as the person is approaching, I'm chewing on the treat. As soon as the person reaches the midway point and now they're starting to walk away, the dog wants the person to walk away. So we want to remove the reward at that point. So the reward only is delivered as the person is approaching. As soon as the person's walking away, then the treat goes away. And then we wait for the next person to come and we do the same thing. Now the boardwalk on the beach might be a little bit too much, especially during the summer, especially during the weekend. But if we could find a time of the day where there's not as much traffic, or another place, maybe a walking trail in a park where there's going to be people coming by but not too many, and we can move ourselves further and further away from the trail so he feels comfortable and relaxed, eventually we'll be able to get a little bit closer and a little bit closer and a little bit, get to the point where the path is right here and he's watching us walk by and he's not feeling like there's any threat because nobody touches him or approaches us. They just drop a treat and walk by. When we get to the point where they're walking by right away, then you could try to transition to having him take the treat. As you can see, he's kind of turning away, he's practicing avoidance with me. He was taking treats from me earlier. I think he's just quasi-full. We've been at this for 3 hours. But eventually we like to have the person give him a treat. Now for dogs, front-facing confrontational, sideways is approachable. So the best thing, if you notice, I'm sitting facing the same direction he is. So the best thing we could do if somebody's going to give him a treat is come and crouch down next to him so we're both facing the same way. Then with this arm, hold the treat out in front of him to the side, so it's to the human side in front of the dog. And the person shouldn't try to talk to him or look at him or pet him or touch him, just holding it there. If he looks away, have the person wait there for a second if they're willing to. If he doesn't, then just go ahead and have him drop the treat and walk away. Eventually we'll get to the point where he will take it off the human's hands. And again, we're building more of a positive association using positive dog training to help him feel good about people approaching. They make my situation better, they don't take any of my stuff, and they're nothing to be a threat about. All right, I'd also like the guardian to practice the stay. She taught the stay with, it's been a while, so we're not sure. But I always teach the stay for the 3Ds. First for duration. I put the dog right in front of me and I just feed him treats. First with a 3-second delay, then 6, then 9, then 12, then 15 seconds. Next time I do it might be 5, 10, 15, 20. Next time it might be 10, 20, 30, 40. You want to get to the point where you can have your dog staying in front of you, staying in a sit or staying in a down position for 5 minutes. Once we get to that point, then we're ready to go to duration or distance. And for distance, then what we do is we take 1 step away. We say stay, take 1 step away, come back, give it a treat, then take 2 steps away, 3 steps away, so on and so forth. Once we can get to the point where we're out of sight and we're able to stay out of sight for a couple minutes and the dog stays in the stay, then we're ready to go for distractions, which is practicing this exercise when the trash truck is coming by or when there's a lot of traffic or congestion or something else is going on. Distractions. We want to recreate real world situations, but again, in a very progressive way. So we put him in position to succeed, and the next step is just slightly harder than the previous one. And if you get to the point where he's reactive, back up a step and practice that step a couple more times before you take that step again. Again, we want to put him in a position to succeed. And if you're going to do something where we're going to have guests over, we can take him maybe to doggy daycare that day or take him for a long walk before we do these exercises. This helps the dog develop or puts them in a better position to succeed because they're more relaxed and they've burned off that excess energy. Now we go for walks. The focus exercise we went through in the video, that's a great one to practice before and on the walks as I described in the video. But maybe when we get to the door and the dog is nice and relaxed and we open the door, maybe we sit there and do the focus exercise 2 or 3 times before we actually walk through the door. And then once we step outside the door, we do one right outside the door on our porch. So we're close to inside. He has this nice calm energy and we're able to help him practice this over and over again. And then we can use the focus when he does, once we mastered it. Don't try to use it in a real world situation until he has mastered it and he can look up at you for 20 seconds no matter what. Then we can start using it when there's actual person or something coming around where he feels like I'm getting worried about it, and the guardian allows him to look away and we redirect his attention. So we want to use that counter conditioning. We can also use that for the trash. And the trash is coming, we just did it, letting him chew on the treats. Now we did it and he did it okay until the trash truck got too close and then he stopped showing interest in the treats. So again, remember, make sure you lower the intensity. In that case, we could do it by closing the window, by increasing the distance to the door, or maybe moving him outside so he can't even see the windows. You can't see the trash truck from here anyways, but sometimes they can see it, smell it, and hear it. That's too much. I might take away 2 of the senses and have him just hearing it, or just seeing it, or just smelling it. Probably not smelling it for the trash. Okay, I like the guardian to get in a habit of petting him with a purpose and stop petting him on demand or for no reason. If she wants to pet him for no reason, just tell him to sit. As soon as he sits, pet him under his chin, facilitate that nose-up orientation, and just say the word sit. We want to avoid using the word good boy or good dog because that means everything, so it doesn't mean anything. Instead, for passive training, every time he comes to us, we're going to pet him and say come. Every time he sits down on his own, we're going to pet him and say sit. When he lays down, we're going to pet him and say down. After we're rewarding him for desired actions and behaviors, and the more we do this, the more he will be inclined to do those in the future. Also, the easier it will be to put him into a sit or a down position when he's in a situation where he thinks he needs to be on the job or there's an imminent threat. He won't do it right now at all, but eventually with enough practice, you say sit when he sees another person coming by. Sitting puts him in a more subordinate position, helps him be less targeting, and helps the other person feel more comfortable. Now, a couple of the signs I want to cover what he's going to do when he's going to be reactive. First of all, dogs usually they're like kind of hanging out and then they freeze. Often they freeze or they stare as their first sign. A dog can stare like this or it can stare like this. I'm looking at the camera, I'm just looking slightly away, and dogs do that, that's a warning. So a dog's doing those things, he's probably getting ready to react barking, nipping, lunging, whatever it is. That's a great time to hiss at him or to redirect him with the focus exercise. Another sign of stress is licking the lips. Turning the head aside and yawning is known as a calming signal. There's a great book called Calming Signals by an author named Turid Ragas, who she noticed that her dog was able to calm down other dogs by engaging in certain actions, like lifting its leg, scratching and sniffing the ground, inserting itself between people, doing things along those lines. So knowing what to look for can help you recognize and read your dog better. And like I just mentioned off camera during the session, one of the best, most effective ways to react to your dog is to react before your dog is reacting. So if you can catch your dog before it starts barking or lunging, it's much easier than once they're in the moment. So we want to use passive training and petting with a purpose and get in the habit of doing that. Since the guardian doesn't have anybody else that she lives with, she might want to put Post-its up, pet with a purpose, sit to pet, or different things in different places in the house as a reminder initially. Let me see, we'd also like to use the escalating consequences. If you forget what those are, she's got them written down, but you can also search for escalating consequences on the dog training tips page at doggoneproblems.com. Let me see, I think I pretty much covered anything. Is there anything we forgot to cover?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then we're going to end it here. Oh, feeding. Make sure that when we're eating, the guardian was preparing her food and then feeding him, and then she was drinking her smoothie afterwards. Smoothies and coffees are not really considered food to dogs. Dogs eat in the order of their rank. So what I'd like the guardian to do is put food in his bowl, not allow him to be within 7 feet of it, pick up a chip, cracker, piece of celery, a carrot, whatever, eat it in 5 or more bites. It can be tiny bites, just has to be at least 5 bites. Then she gives him permission to eat. Now, once he goes to eat, is he a finicky eater, or does he eat everything right away?
He eats it all right away.
Okay, so if he were to like sniff it and walk away, I'd pick up the empty bowl, dump the food out, and put the empty bowl back on the ground. It's important to put the empty bowl on the ground. We want them walking by the bowl over and over and noticing it's empty, it's empty, it's empty. Suddenly there's food there. That makes it more valuable. I know, buddy, we're almost wrapping it up. We're actually going to wrap it up right now. So if the guardian has any other questions, please call me, preferably text me. I will get a response back for texts much faster than calls or emails. All right, Ernie, this is your roadmap to success, buddy. You did pretty good. You didn't bite me. I always think that's a successful session when I don't get bit. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.